Now we're trading in one barn for another as we venture south to Grand Rapids. Built in the 1850s, what used to be an old Apple storage building has now been brought into the 21st century, and you're never gonna believe what's being made inside. Courtney Jerome is here to introduce us to Michigan's only cooperage at Croze Nest.
I'm Joe Smith. I'm with Croze Nest Oak Barrels out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we are a boutique cooperage, and we handcraft oak barrels for the micro and small distilleries that are around the state and the country. It's been a journey in engineering and math and frankly quite a bit of art, just figuring all this out. In the 17 and 1800s, when they were building barrels with hand tools, a good cooper could do 5 to 7 a day just using their hands. I'm using machinery and I'm barely at 5 to 7. So they were really artists in their craft when they built these. Way back when, there were journeyman schools and a process you had to go through to be a master cooper. I'm completely self-taught. A lot of trial by fire, I guess I'd say.
Joe's cooperage, called Croze Nest, is the only cooperage in Michigan. In fact, there are less than 30 cooperages in the country right now, ranging from smaller boutiques like his to large facilities that make 100,000 barrels a year. But by being boutique, Joe is able to offer a personal touch to his brand, and that's certainly paid off. If you like bourbon and have been to a Michigan distillery, odds are you've tasted a spirit that's aged in one of his barrels. Do you recognize any of these locations? Detroit City Distillery, Ironfish Distillery in Thompsonville, Traverse City's Grand Traverse Distillery, Ethnology in Elk Rapids, American Fifth in Lansing, Grand Ledges Sanctuary Spirits. Okay, I'll stop name dropping on Joe's behalf. You probably want to know why he turned from a corporate careerman to a craftsman and create his cooperage.
I have absolutely fallen in love with this, and it's just really, really fun. It's a mix of I get to work with my hands and I get to use my mind to figure out, okay, what toast level does this need to be to create these flavors, and direct contact with the distillers to really create special things. December of 2014, there was an article that was in the Wall Street Journal about this big barrel shortage that had happened. And it's interesting, if you look at why that barrel shortage happened in 2014, it actually dates back to the recession of 2007, 2008, when the housing market dropped, forestry stopped, and when forestry stopped, oak trees weren't being harvested, so it took until 2014 for the supply of available oak for barrels to basically be used up. And at the same time, craft distilling was seeing this massive boom.
A huge need for barrels, and no wood for barrels equaled a perfect time to explore the idea he'd been brewing. Joe's exploration led to a trip to Kentucky, where he knocked on a door of a large cooperage and, straight up, asked them how a barrel was built.
And I went in there and they had massive equipment, and they were building 300 to 400 barrels a day. And so I just wanted to see the process. And all throughout this, I was still working my corporate job. So I was using vacation time to learn how to build a barrel.
His vacation time was well spent, learning how to build, talking to distillers and wood suppliers, preparing to get his hands dirty and get to work.
I have to take the leap, and at least I have to build one barrel or I'm going to be mad at myself. My first barrel delivery went out on April 15th of 2017, and the business has been growing since. Just about every distillery, I'd say, in the state at least has one of my barrels. And now I've got distillers that are winning awards in national and international competitions, and the spirit is coming out of my barrel, and that's how I really know now I built a good barrel. My grandmother, who has since passed, she was asking me what I was doing for work. Working on trying to build barrels. I want to be a cooper. And she goes, "That's really interesting you said that. I've been doing the lineage." And she found that in 1620 is when the Smith side came over on the Mayflower. And my 10th great grandfather was the master cooper on the Mayflower. So I know on the Smith side there was some coopering in the blood, and it just took 10 generations for one of us to pick up the hammer again.
An interesting note about the barrels is that it adds 100% of the color and up to 80% of the flavor in any aged spirit. You can learn more about what our favorite Cooper is up to by going online to crozenest.com.